Down but not out. Jamaica to rebuild from the impact of heavy rainfall. We have the latest from Prime Minister Andrew Holness, plus inspiring stories of youth entrepreneurship and defying all odds. You're watching Jamaica Magazine and I'm Adrian Atkinson. All that and more coming up, so please stay with us.
Motorists, when driving on the road, here are some simple reminders. Look out for and extend courtesy to all road users. Give plenty of room to pedestrians, especially in wet weather. Drive slowly. No bother wet them up. Slow down when approaching a pedestrian crossing or school and always be prepared to stop. Remember, a school zone is a 30-kilometer zone. Cut your speed. Drivers of large and slow-moving vehicles should always keep in the far left hand of a dual carriageway. Keep it simple. Drive left and pass right. These are just simple reminders of your road duties. Drive safely.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Thursday, October 29. The island-wide nightly curfew of 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. has been extended for another 16 days. The national curfew, which would have expired on October 31, will continue until November 16. However, the special curfew order for Ray Town in Kingston and Cornwall Court in St. James remains at 6 p.m. to 5 a.m. until November 6. Prime Minister Andrew Holness provided the update on government's COVID-19 control measures during a virtual press briefing last evening. The requirement for taxi operators to carry one less passenger than stipulated by their license will also remain in force until November 16. The stay-at-home order for persons 65 years and older will continue until November 30, along with the ban on funerals, parties, and other such events. Burials will continue to be allowed with a restriction of no more than 15 persons.
The current protocols under the Control Re-Entry Program for both residents and visitors remain until November 16, 2020, while the requirements for pre-testing and quarantine remain the same. We are implementing various operational improvements to streamline the processing of arriving passengers at our airports.
The Prime Minister stressed that the country was not yet out of danger, but said the measures were working to slow the spike in new COVID-19 cases.
After the spike in August and September, our growth in new cases has been slowing down and our recovery is increasing, which has resulted in the number of active cases showing moderate and modest decline.
Meanwhile, 17 schools across 9 parishes will resume face-to-face classes from November 9 to 20 under a pilot project by the Ministry of Education. The news was announced by Education Minister Favour Williams during a press conference at Jamaica House yesterday. 12 of the participating schools are at the primary level and 5 at the secondary level. They are located in the parishes of Clarendon, Manchester, Portland, St. Anne, St. Elizabeth, St. James, Westmoreland, St. Thomas, and Trelawney.
We will have the pilot for 2 weeks, starting on November 9 to the 20th. During the first few days, the ministry will be working with the schools and parents to ensure that the parents and students have the necessary information to prepare for the face-to-face opening come November 9.
Minister Williams says more than 5,000 students are enrolled in the selected institutions, and she asserts that COVID-19 protocols will be strictly enforced at the schools.
During that time, November 9 to 20, we will be assessing to determine how well this is working, whether schools are abiding by the protocols, and whether or not there are other emerging issues that we will need to take into consideration to inform future decisions.
The Education Minister is urging principals at the schools to allow students to wear masks that may not match their uniforms while providing to those who don't have the personal protective item. She says the decision to resume face-to-face classes was informed by public health and other sound data on the risk profile for each school. The current blended learning approach being utilized by institutions is still available to all schools. The Jamaica Tertiary Education Commission says it has accomplished the development and implementation of 6 standardized operational practices at 10 teachers' colleges. Program Manager for the Education System Transformation Program, Dania Facey, says this was achieved through technical cooperation grant funding of $600,000 from the government of Japan in 2018. Ms. Facey says the government-funded colleges were selected to reform their practices concerning quality assurance.
We would want to ensure that having come to a teacher's college, wherever you've gone, that you have been exposed to a standardized kind of curriculum, standardized process of assessment, so that a graduate of a teacher's college is not only ready for teaching, but we know that they have met a particular standard, and the college itself has met a particular standard.
Ms. Facey was speaking at a recent JIS think tank. She says among the 6 standards agreed by the institutions are human resource and financial practices, curriculum design and planning, and infrastructure and learning resources. There will be a virtual launch of these standards on October 30.
To share with the public the work that has been done and to educate the public, including the colleges, about these standards and how they will be expected to adopt them in reforming their colleges. You can join us on any of the Ministry of Education social media platforms. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, as well as JTEX platforms, and they are also on Instagram and YouTube.
The Ministry of Labour and Social Security has received a $40 million grant from the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, to help some of the country's most vulnerable households cope with the crippling impact of COVID-19. Portfolio Minister Carl Samuda signed the grant agreement yesterday during a courtesy call with UNICEF's resident representative, Mario Kagashima, and other officials at his ministry. The grant will cover cash transfer payments under the Program of Advancement through Health and Education, PATH. Approximately 2,700 families with children with disabilities, as well as pregnant and lactating women, are to benefit from the support. Care packages will be provided to 1,000 families with disabilities who are registered with the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities, PATH, and the Early Stimulation Program. The family home of Jamaica's second Prime Minister, Sir Donald Sangster, will soon be restored as a National Heritage Site. Prime Minister Andrew Holness made the announcement on Monday during a ceremony at National Heroes Park to commemorate the 109th anniversary of Sangster's birth. Mr. Holness said the home, located just outside of Mountainside in St. Elizabeth, would be restored by the Ministry of Culture.
This will be done under the Jamaica 60 legacy projects. Jamaica 60 being just around the road. And so, Minister Grange, I know you have extensive plans to celebrate Jamaica 60.
Donald Sangster was appointed Prime Minister of Jamaica on February 22, 1967, while simultaneously retaining the posts of Minister of Finance and Defense. He only served in that role for 7 weeks before his untimely death, but over the course of his career, he distinguished himself as an outstanding leader who advanced Jamaica's visibility in the international arena. And finally, State Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, Alanda Terrelong, will now have direct oversight for the Poet Laureate program. Portfolio Minister Olivia Grange made the announcement at the recently held Poet Laureate of Jamaica Appreciation Ceremony at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel in New Kingston.
He will be working closely with the chair of the National Library, the National Librarian, Professor Ball, and the team to lift the profile, further lift the profile of the program, and to encourage more young people to participate and to ensure that it grows from strength to strength.
Minister Terrelong says he is grateful for the opportunity to work with the organization in helping to build new talent.
So I do accept this new role at Minister Grange with a heart full of gratitude, because it gives me an opportunity, as I indicated, to bridge the gap between culture and education. What is culture if not to educate the youth of our nation?
The Poet Laureate of Jamaica program is a joint initiative of the National Library of Jamaica and the Entertainment Advisory Board. Once selected, the Poet Laureate is expected to celebrate and propel Jamaican poetry to new heights. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
I'm sure my neighbors hear the screams and cries.
I'm sure by now they've seen the bruises through my oversized glasses.
Can they tell I'm depressed when we speak?
Are they counting my frequent days off from work?
Domestic violence is any pattern of behavior used by an individual to maintain control or power over another. Domestic violence is not just physical, it can also be verbal. If you're in a relationship where you are being abused or know of anyone, get out and speak up. Report domestic violence by calling 119 or the nearest police station. Get out before someone puts you out.
Rainfall over the past few days has caused severe damage to personal property and roadways as a result of flooding and landslides. The government has taken steps to mitigate these issues, and we have the details of how it will be done.
The torrential rains associated with Tropical Storm Zeta that spanned 6 days from October 19 to 25 have severely impacted several communities across the island. There have been reports of damage to road infrastructure in all 14 parishes. The NWA's preliminary assessment is that over 80 roads island-wide were severely affected by various rain-related events such as landslides, mud flows, downed trees, washed out bridges, undermined roadways, or inundation, which rendered some communities inaccessible and even marooned. The preliminary assessment indicates that the southern parishes were more affected than the northern parishes. The preliminary damage estimate is close to 2 billion Jamaican dollars. And my assessment from what I have been seeing and what has been reported is that the estimate will rise significantly. This covers road clearance, drain cleaning, creating access and patching, but it does not include the cost of permanent repairs or major rehabilitation. In addition to the impact on the NWA roads, there has been significant impact on parochial roads. 60% of parochial roads were affected, with the KSA, St. Catherine, Clarendon, and Manchester being those most greatly affected. The estimate is being finalized, but preliminary indications are that the damage to parochial roads and drain networks will run in excess of $700 million. Based on the extent of damage and the cost, all the required works cannot be immediately done. Accordingly, the government is proposing a program of targeted interventions with a priority ranking as follows. First priority would be to reopen blocked roads. Then cleaning of critical drains, which are now heavily silted, and then patching of main thoroughfares. The cyclical mitigation program will begin shortly and lead into the Christmas period and will be augmented to address the repair and rehabilitation works associated with the rains that will total approximately 2 billion Jamaican dollars. So at this time, we will budget to expend $1 billion to directly address damage due to rains, and this is to be used directly by the NWA according to areas of greatest national need and strategic importance to the productivity of the economy. In addition, that is to the $1 billion. Each constituency will be allocated $1.5 million from the Housing Fund to assist with repairs to housing infrastructure that has been brought to the attention of the Member of Parliament. And in addition to that, we will give each constituency an allocation of $1.5 million from the Ministry of Labour and Social Security for rehabilitation grants for the neediest cases that are brought to the attention of the MP. So in effect, constituencies will have $3 million early response fund. It's a difficult time, understand, but the government has to operate within the boundaries of its resources. And this is what we are doing. But this is the start. As we go through and we decide on reallocation, we may be able to do it.
The JIS Heritage Competition is celebrating 10 years of youth expression on Jamaican history, culture, and tradition. If you're a primary level student, 9 to 12 years old, enter the essay competition. Write 400 to 500 words on the topic. I promise to stand up for justice, brotherhood, and peace. Identify a Jamaican from our past or an institution that exemplifies this statement from our national pledge and say why. Secondary level students, enter the poster competition. And tertiary students, send us your best snap for the photo competition. The topic, I promise to stand up for justice, brotherhood, and peace. Enter now and play your part in preserving our national heritage. Great prizes to be won. For competition rules and guidelines, contact the JIS.
Up next, two youngsters, Daniela and Stephen, share their love for beekeeping and the products they have made to create an enterprise.
Me and my sister got started when we were very young. I think I was 6 or something around that age. And my mom had 4 hives. And that is the beginning of success.
The name of our family business is Maccabee Enterprise. Here at Maccabee Enterprise, we are all beekeepers, down to my 9-year-old sister, Camila.
Working with the bees is nice. It's less challenging than back in the days. Don't want to sound too old. It is fun now. I am more confident. Yeah. It is calming, soothing. Takes you out of this world, bring in another. So it's fun. It's actually fun. My role here on the farm is using an extractor. To extract honey, there are many ways. I will be explaining 2 ways. First is the professional method where you use an extractor. So you have a capping knife, a knife with like a serrated edge, and you would uncap, which is a thin sheet of wax on top of the comb with the honey inside. So it's like a seal. So you use a knife and uncap that. Then you put it in the extractor and spin it, and it would flash out on the side of the extractor and drain to the bottom, and then you leak it out into a bucket. The other way is, well, when you don't have an extractor, is that you would use a capping fork, or you could use a regular fork, and you would hold the frame like this, long way, and you'd use the fork and gently scrape the frame. So you're taking off the comb, you're removing the comb from the frame in a sense. But you'd have on the frame, there is a sheet of wax that we would put on as beekeepers, foundation. So it would guide the bees, to build more small cells that would get more workers in the hive.
From the bees, we get 5 main products, right? We have pollen, propolis, beeswax, honey, and royal jelly. So based on those 5 things, we actually think about what we can do with those 5 things. So in beekeeping, we actually have honey flow periods and we have dirt season. Those are the two main periods. In between, we have like a pre-flow and pre-dirt, basically. But okay, so in our honey season, that's the time when they're on production. They're bringing in their honey, their pollen, everything up on top. But for like in St. Thomas, there's like a 6-month period where there's dirt. There's no honey, no much honey that we can reap. There's just enough for them to have for them to feed themselves and their babies and be able to stay alive. In the dirt period, when there's not enough honey for us to harvest and be able to sell, we do things like remove our old combs and boil it out and we get wax. With the wax, we do like the body butters, we do candles, lip conditioner. So that's the wax. With the pollen, we actually collect the pollen, and the pollen is a very good multivitamins. So we actually collect the pollen and dry it and package it for sale. For the royal jelly, we don't do a lot of work with the royal jelly. As we go along, we are actually developing products. So for the royal jelly right now, we put it in our honey wine. And then again, the honey wine is made from honey. My involvement in making the byproducts are production. I do most of the labels. I have help, so I can't take all the credit, but most of the labels are from me. I do social media marketing. So most of the WhatsApp texts, Instagram, they might mostly be from me. My younger siblings' involvement in the business is some help with the production. So there is some small things like shredding the wax that they can do. They help with the bees as well because we're homeschool and we kind of tag along with our parents right through and through. So with the bees and with production. And my younger sister, she's very artistic. So when I'm actually doing the labels, sometimes she would draw this beautiful picture and I would actually use that as part of the label.
I have 4 personal hives for myself. I have 3 long struts, which is the regular kind of box that you would see that holds 10 frame and they would stack on one on top of the other. And I have 1 top bar, which is a 30 frame box, which goes a long way. And it only has a top bar. It doesn't have the top bar with the square. It doesn't have a frame. It's just the top bar. My advice to other youth interested in beekeeping is you have to be persistent and you have to be confident and you have to be committed to beekeeping.
Beekeeping can be very wide. You don't have to just stuck with the bees, the sting, the honey. There is so much more that you can do. You can do candles. There is actually a shortage of beeswax candles. And beeswax candles are very easy. You mold, you wick, your color if you need, and you're done. Lip conditioner is another easy one. And if you go online, just take some of your time out of your texting and just research some products that you can actually do from the products that you get from the bees, the 5 products I mentioned. There's so much more.
Whenever you hear the following tone, the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, will be giving information on an emergency situation affecting the island. Please be on the alert and listen to your radio and television for further information. This was a test of the Emergency Alert System, brought to you by ODPEM.
We continue to inspire Jamaica with Lolita's story of defying the odds in a male-dominated field.
My name is Lolita Ingram Lewis. I'm from Manchester. I live in Western Jamaica. And I'm a truck driver for the past 26 years. My stepfather, Jeffrey Wint, He used to drive a Buffalo Leland and he taught me how to shift the box. Then one morning he just said, carry the truck down off the hill. I could steer because I could drive a car. So I started driving truck from I was about 10. I used to be a security officer. Then I applied for this job and they gave me a 3-month contract. Then they love how I drive. I don't destroy the truck and I take good care and I'm a good driver. Then they give me a 1 year. So since they give me the 1 year, so they say, you're qualified to go get the new truck. This is a Shackman truck. It has 10 speed, 5 high, 5 low. It has Shanka. It's for the retirement dump, this dump. We're gonna be working in this dump. So yes, I'm gonna be running it. As you know, this is the steering. This is the emergency lock-up brake. It's in lock position. When you want to move, you have to release it, put it down this side. It's a 10-speed box. So anytime you move it, you have to stick the clutch. This is 1, 2, 3, down 4, 5, flip the button, go over, you get 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. That's neutral. You put it down, then you select it in third. Then as I said, this button around this side brings up the body, right? And after you tip up the body and coming back down, you have to take it out third and you have to disengage the PTO, right? And as you can see, it's brand new. The plastic is still on it. This is the horn. It has two horn. You can do like this and it goes, and then you have a louder horn when you press it, it goes. Okay. And it has air condition, a little radio. I would go for the single mothers who are raising kids on their own. This is possible. From I do it because I'm a single mother for Brittany MacArthur. And it's possible. Not because I've been doing it for 26 years. I raise kids in between. But for the girls who think that they have to depend on a guy to get their nails done, their hair done, they can become a truck driver. I wish the government though would open a trucking academy. You understand? So men, females, mothers can become a truck driver and inspire other girls too. I have to say thanks to my daughter who wake up 5 o'clock in the morning so I can come to work. She don't like it, but I said, if I don't work, you can't go to a prep school. You can't do swimming. You can't do gymnastics. So mommy gotta work. So I want to say thanks to my daughter, Brittany MacArthur, for helping me to accomplish my dreams.
This is where our journey ends, but only for today. Do join us again tomorrow when we'll bring you another informative program. In the meantime, stay connected via our website, jis.gov.jm. And while you're online, send your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm or via tweet at JIS News. You may also find us on all the major social media platforms and through our mobile app that's Android and iOS compatible. On behalf of the production crew, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.